to come to you today and talk a little bit about grief and grieving and how I dealt with it over the years. I really wasn't given the tools, and it's no fault of anybody's. We just, we know what we know at the time that we know it. And, I've always had a problem with it. It's always been one of those things that, I've been to so many funerals over my 48 years. It started early with me, my struggle with it. And I wanted to tell you a little story about the first time I remember it really sticking out to me that, death was possible, especially for somebody my age. Now, the first time I really remember being affected by death, I was 12 years old, I want to say. I know I was in Little League, so I think you can age out of Little League at 13. You had to go to the next level. So I'm pretty sure I was 12. The way the baseball season was set up is you would play some games, and the team that won the most games in the first half of the season played the team that won the most games in the second half of the season. So the first half of the season, we didn't win any games, and we got beat up pretty bad. And then, the second half of the season, we picked up a kid named Earl Jackson. Now, he changed the dynamic of how we played because he was one of those guys. He had like that feisty attitude. He's always smiling and laughing, but he competed a way that, I remember. I mean, we all competed, but there was something special about him. When they say somebody has it, Earl had it, and he also was a really good pitcher. The team that we were going to play was the Pirates. I played for the Giants, the Famous Pizza Giants. The Famous Pizza sponsored it was a local pizza place. They sponsored our team, and when we won, we used to go get free pizza, the games we won. So that was kind of cool. But anyway, the Pirates had this pitcher named Andre Sanchez. Wasn't a big dude. Actually, a pretty small guy, real skinny, but he was a nasty pitcher. Curves, I'm talking about fastball, curves, everything. And it wasn't impossible to hit, but he was pretty hard to hit at the level that we were at. So we always struggled against him. And the Pirates was so good that particular year that we didn't even beat them in the second half. We tied the game with them. And, the way that the Little League that I played in, the lights would come on, so we couldn't finish the game once the lights went off. Once it got dark, and we didn't play under the lights. So that's the only reason why the game ended in a tie. And they were so good that, at the end of the game, when you go shake hands, they were crying, and they didn't even lose. So they were shocked that we actually tied them. But so we ended up having to play them. And I remember we were walking to the park. The park is like right across the street from the projects I live. Seaside Park is right across the street, basically from Marina Village. And we were cutting through the buildings, and Earl lived on one side of Marina, and I lived on the other side. We were supposed to be practicing that day. We get to the park, and, there's nobody there. It's a couple of us from the team, and it's like, nobody's there. We're supposed to be practicing. We got this championship game coming. And I don't remember who it was, but somebody came to the park and was like, yeah, there's no practice. And we're like, well, what's going on? And you're like, well, Earl died. And, I'm 12 years old, and I dealt with death before. Most of it was, really all of it that I remember was like older relatives or somebody's, mother may have passed away, your aunt, somebody's uncle, and that's the way I saw death. It was something that was for old people. Now, that's the level of exposure to death that I had, or at least that I was paying attention to, because at that age, you kind of just going about your business. So when he said Earl died, it was about 3 or 4 of us, and we're all like, man, stop lying. No, he's like, no, he died. He was playing on a truck and playing on the back of a box truck when that was being driven, and when it took off, he fell, he hit his head, and so he described what happened, And we were like, you're lying. So we gonna go to we gonna go to his house. We going to his house. So we go head over there, and when somebody passes away, when you get to the place, whether it's a funeral home or the house or the area where it's, of somebody's home, you can feel it. The air is different. We get to the building, and first you can see people kind of standing around outside of the house, and everybody's head is down. And as we're walking closer, it's more and more obvious that something is wrong. And I just remember my heart like just beating, like wanted to beat out of my chest. And I just, we get to the house and there's family members there. People are hugging and crying. And, we didn't go in, but at that point we knew that, Earl was gone. And, that was the first time that I was 12. And like I said, I looked at the world. The world was a fun place. And don't get me wrong, I was out there fighting, and I was, we laughing, we joking, we fight, but doing things that kids did. And we never thought about death in that way. And then to see that somebody my age was actually dead, I remember being afraid of death like nobody's business after that. I cried a lot about that, and I never really talked to anybody about it. I did have one friend that we spoke for a little while on the phone about it, but, I never actually dealt with it. And the reason why I know I never dealt with it, because it still sits in my mind. It's still fresh in my mind how I felt. Actually talking about it now, I'm getting those feelings like I did back then. At the end of it all, we ended up getting a trophy because they didn't want to subject us to having us play without our best player, and also too with the death. It was just like, a bunch of things that went on, and they ended up giving both the Pirates and the Giants, which was a team I played on, ended up giving us both trophies for first place. So my first trophy that I received was bittersweet. So that's the first time I really dealt with death in a way that stuck with me. To go to that wake and see my friend Earl in the casket, and we were just playing baseball and laughing and joking a week ago, 2 days ago, yesterday. It shook me. It definitely shook me.